Do I have everybody's attention now? I'm going to leave with the WWE Championship. Because I am the best in the world on this microphone, in this ring, even at commentary. Nobody can touch me. Do I have everybody's attention now?
CM Punk's road to WrestleMania is underway, but what direction will he go in if he does win the Royal Rumble? But also, what if he doesn't? Right now, Punk is at the top of my list anyways to win the Rumble and main event night 2 of WrestleMania 41. But with all the big names that are going to be in the Rumble for this year, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, John Cena, just to name a few, there's a lot of the top names that could easily win and main event, and their story would make just as much sense as CM Punk's. So it's a little complicated. So let's specifically look at just CM Punk today, leading into the Royal Rumble, and figure out what his options are for WrestleMania. Now, I will preface by saying I'm focusing just on the individual here and not trying to take into account any other factors of like, well, if this happens, then this would be the main event, or what if The Rock shows up? Just focusing in on Punk. So one scenario is pretty clean. Punk wins the Rumble, points at the sign, and main events night 2 of WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. Now these two have interacted before. In fact, when Punk made his return to WWE, he did get in the ring before WrestleMania, before the Royal Rumble, and he went face to face with Cody Rhodes. So you can easily kind of rekindle something there, and it would be a great story of a face versus face. You get a lot of great promos. You can try to call back some early history between the two. Cody has finished his story. Punk wants to finish his finally. It would just be a solid main event, and you could end up having CM Punk win that thing in the main event of night 2. The problem I run into with something like that is the crowd maybe turning on Cody Rhodes, and they don't want to do that. You've seen that a little bit with how Punk and Rollins turned out. People firmly chant CM Punk during that whole thing, even the other night on Raw. I can kind of see the same thing happening with Cody Rhodes. There will always be Cody supporters, and people will just enjoy the match. But I think Punk would come out ahead a little bit. And I don't know if you want to rub things the wrong way in terms of Cody's whole stock in the company. And that storyline and that road to WrestleMania for Punk seems a little bit too clean and simple. So the next option, Punk wins the Royal Rumble and fights for the world title maybe on night 1 of WrestleMania. And I say night 1 because the Rumble winner doesn't always get the main event of WrestleMania. And if it's Gunther versus Punk, that would be a great match, but I don't feel like it has the weight necessarily of a night 2 Mania main event. And I haven't really been enjoying Gunther's whole build lately as world champion. I think he could drop the title before then. Maybe Gunther doesn't make it to WrestleMania as champion. Punk could win the Royal Rumble. Gunther could lose the title at the Rumble or at Elimination Chamber, or he could be in the Elimination Chamber and lose it there. And it could be maybe Seth that picks it up in the Chamber match. And then you have a champion, Seth Rollins, going up to challenger CM Punk one more time. They do it over again. This time it's for the belt. Punk could beat Rollins again. And Seth, by the way, he needs to stop losing all the time, especially like WrestleMania stuff. He lost all matches against Cody Rhodes. He's lost against CM Punk. He lost to Drew McIntyre. He lost to Rock and Roman. He loses a lot in those big things. So to get Seth some momentum going into WrestleMania, he just came off the loss against Punk. In that scenario, Seth would have lost the Royal Rumble opportunity. So he picks up his win at Elimination Chamber as champion. Then you have a stronger champion in Seth Rollins going up against CM Punk. Okay, now what if CM Punk is eliminated at the Royal Rumble? A lot of people would look to take him out in the match itself. Seth has all the claim in the world. In fact, he's gonna target him at the Rumble. Drew McIntyre, the exact same thing. Roman Reigns has motivation to eliminate Punk. Even John Cena could toss Punk out of the Rumble. Call back to the previous history. Be kind of a cool moment to have the two of them in the ring, wouldn't it? And if Punk loses at the Rumble, you could still get him to WrestleMania. He could win at Elimination Chamber in a number 1 contendership match inside the chamber. And it could be a number 1 contendership for either the world title or the WWE title. I will say though, if Punk is in a chamber match, it's likely to go for the world title, and Cody would be doing something else. Just how I feel about it. So Punk wins the chamber, okay? And then he can enter last in the chamber match itself to protect him and make sure that, well, they minimize the chances of injury, because the chamber is it's a brutal match, like just to be in. And I don't think you want Punk in there as number 1 in the whole Elimination Chamber. And if he wins at Chamber a number 1 contendership, again, he could go and fight Gunther. It could be Seth, who wins the title before or at Elimination Chamber itself, almost like what you had with Rock and Austin years back. Remember how Austin won the Royal Rumble? And I think The Rock won the WWE Championship against Kurt Angle at No Way Out. That was then to set up their title match at WrestleMania 17. So it can happen in a very short period of time, or they can make a giant episode of Raw on Netflix for the world title. Now, another scenario, Punk doesn't get a title match at WrestleMania, and whatever his match is, it's non-title. One non-title story he could have, and it could still even main event night one, would be against Roman Reigns. Punk could lose the Rumble and be tossed out by Roman. Roman gets eliminated by, let's say, John Cena, and Cena wins and fights Cody. Now, Punk could call in his favor then to Paul Heyman, and the favor is to have the main event match against Roman Reigns at Mania 41. Punk could screw Roman over in a match he has before WrestleMania, maybe at the Chamber, motivating Roman to have the Punk match. And what's cool here is that you end up with Paul Heyman stuck in the middle of all of this. Picking sides, the potential for deception of Paul Heyman. Does he turn on Roman Reigns? Does he side with CM Punk? Does Punk come out a heel? The promos would be blockbuster, and you can really feel that it's a main event match. Because it's Roman Reigns, whatever match Roman is in, it will be a main event. And Punk, in character, he probably knows that. Whatever that match is for Roman Reigns, it's going to be one of the main events. And I don't think Roman gets a title, the WWE Championship, before WrestleMania. But a great poster is the Tribal Chief versus the best in the world, so it could totally work. Now, there are other options here, and I find these a little bit less likely, but they're still possible. And one of the options you have is to hit the subscribe button. Now, I see what I did there. It's a cheap plug. We're trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the time we hit WrestleMania, so it would mean a lot if you guys would help support the channel. A multi-man match at WrestleMania is a possibility. Cody versus Punk versus Roman Reigns in a triple threat match at WrestleMania. Punk gets screwed at the Royal Rumble and gets eliminated. Maybe they say his feet touched the floor and they didn't, but he feels cheated and wronged somehow at the Royal Rumble. You could have Roman then win the Royal Rumble to set up a clear path of Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Number 3, Roman and Paul Heyman, as the proxy, has already discussed how Roman Reigns wants to go after Cody Rhodes and get his championship back. Roman's character overall also has not changed since he returned at SummerSlam. Nothing's different for Roman Reigns, and now he has his Ulafala, and his next step is get his championship back. So you can have it where this angers CM Punk a lot. So much so that he calls in his favor from Paul Heyman, and he enters himself in their title match, making it a triple threat. Now you have the intrigue of Paul Heyman sort of turning on Roman Reigns in some regard because, well, he let him into Roman's title match, but he owed Punk that favor for Survivor Series. And on some level, Roman would know that. This also puts heat with Cody and gets Cody put in the middle of all of this. Cody's got the never-ending heat with Roman Reigns. They've dealt with the bloodline. Cody's also got all the heat that's going on with everybody around the bloodline, like Kevin Owens. So Punk in this scenario can force Heyman's hand to get his main event. And the good thing is, in a three-way like that, in a triple threat, everyone gets kind of protected. They could have Cody eat the pin. They could have Roman eat the pin. Roman has eaten pins in the past since losing the title, and Punk could win the WWE Championship. And in the match itself, it could be the direct help of Paul Heyman, or he does it on his own. But if he pins Roman Reigns, for example, it protects Cody because he never lost, setting up maybe a rematch. We know that Roman isn't around that much either, and he's on like the mega part-time schedule. So the intrigue is always there that you would get that match of Roman versus Punk one-on-one. And you could do that at SummerSlam or the following year WrestleMania. Now, as we speak about multi-man matches, on the world title side, you could do something similar. Punk loses in the Rumble, Seth or Drew could win, but along the way in the road to WrestleMania, it becomes a fatal four-way. I love a good fatal four-way. You could have Seth versus Drew versus Punk versus Gunther for the world title. Everyone in there has animosity with each other. Massive history and feud between Drew and Gunther, Seth and Gunther, Drew and Seth, Seth, Punk, Drew. It can all work together. Punk, again, in this world, it's like people are gonna be like, well, why is Punk always winning? It's just, we're laying out the land for CM Punk's whole title win. So in a fatal four-way, he can come out the victor, and he could pin Seth once again, or Drew McIntyre, if you wanted to protect Gunther. And again, he gets this world title shot by cashing in that favor of Paul Heyman. Because then after WrestleMania, you have a ton of stories that you can tell with Punk, whether it is with the WWE Championship mixed in there, or it's with the world title. But no matter what direction and what happens for the road to WrestleMania for CM Punk, it's a little complicated, and I kind of like it.